Hey fam, hey, welcome back to my channel. So listen, if you watched season 19, episode 10 of Sister Wives last night, you know that this was an episode full of information we already know. I have to say, this was a hard one for me to want to come in and even review, recap, or talk about, except that there was a couple parts of this show having to do with the same two people that I do want to talk about. Nope, not about Robin and Cody. Not about Mary moving, not about Jen and Blair, not even about Christine and David. But we're going to get to it. And we're going to do so right after this wonderful theme song.
And four wives, one is saying, three have packed and gone. Kids don't smile upon me, lost my faith in the dawn. Big house feels so empty, lonely halls and broken dreams. One wife by my side now, nothing is as it seems.
All right, so we are back after the theme song, and let me just say, this is not going to be a very long video, and here's why. Again, this felt like a filler episode to me, chock full of information we already know. We already talked about how when they were living in Utah, Christine took care of the kids while Janelle went to work. But we did hear that Mary had a situation where she was going to maybe need some time off of work because both Janelle and Christine were married and she thought she was going to pregnant, and she was going to have to help, but she didn't quite know how to ask for that PTO time. It's called PTO. I'll just leave that at that. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So I decided to go sort of wife by wife in this video. We didn't see a whole lot of Janelle. We almost got by unscathed without hearing from Robin, but alas, she appeared on the couch, and we did hear a little bit from Cody. So let's just start with Christine. Christine and David are showing up to do some babysitting for Mykelti and Tony. And of course, Tony asks if he is allowed to open the door. And Mykelti says, well, somebody's got to open it. I thought that was a really interesting interaction. Christine comes in and she says that she's going to read books with her favorite little granddaughter, although I don't think she has a favorite. I'm just saying that. But the name of her book was what was kind of interesting. It was called The Mouse Bride. As we all know, Christine's gonna get married. She's gonna get engaged in this episode. She's gonna get married to David. That's no surprise. But she presented a book called The Mouse Bride. Kind of goes back to the whole waiting for David to kiss her during Little Mermaid, during Kiss the Girl, and he didn't. So I wondered if she thought maybe this book would get him to propose a lot sooner. I just wrote down in my notes, girl, when you know we know is your phrase, and we know. Boy, do we know. Of course, we revisited that she was home with the kids. The one thing that surprised me in that little section, though, was remembering that Mykelti was actually blonde. Who remembered that? I forgot that Mykelti was actually a blonde like the rest of the girls. They bought a house. Surprise, surprise.
Surprise. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, that was just a little joke. I do want to say this, and I never thought that I would say it, but Queen Christine is turning very slowly into cringe Christine real quick. How many times do you need to say how fast you're moving in your relationship? Girl, this is not a flex. It is not a flex to only be dating a man for 2 months and already buying a house with him. Not a flex. Kind of creepy, kind of not smart, but okay. When you know, you know. Jezebel is struggling, and it's kind of like she takes this oh well attitude. You know, it's kind of like, hey, your mental health might be jacked up by me doing this, but we're not stopping. And this is actually the thing that I really want to delve into once we get through the rest of this commentary. Truly goes along for a ride with Christine and David, and they're doing car confessions in the ATV, and we see that Truly bites David on the hand. Why? Christine, I'm gonna need you to slow down and really, really deal with the mental health of your children in this situation. Oh my gosh. Of course, they get up to what David calls the most beautiful spot in the world. He loves it up there, and out comes the ring. He gets down on one knee, gives Christine the proposal that she's always wanted, and she has to put her own ring on. Now, I'm not talking bad about that. I have no idea why that had to happen, but it did. She loved the proposal, and that's all that matters. She was so excited to finally get a real proposal. The one thing that she said that I had to really kind of take a second look at, but I understand it, is she goes, I never loved Cody as much as I love David. I was never in love with Cody as much as I am with David. Do you even know David though? 2 months? Okay. I mean, when you know, you know. I know. Let's move on to Mary, who is laughing hysterically with Jen and Blair about possibly painting the carpet. There was a whole lot of laughter about that. They talked about painting the carpet, and I've heard about maybe getting a little bit on the carpet. Haven't you heard of tile and carpet? I did not understand this except for the fact that they needed to find something to put in to say that they featured Mary in tonight's episode before they featured Mary in tonight's episode. This scene was not as funny as I think they thought it was, even in real life. Mary does say that she wants to be with someone. She wants somebody who's going to check on her, somebody who's going to say when she flies across country, did you make it there safely? Are you okay? Or someone to even be waiting at the airport to greet her as she gets off the plane. I understand that. Okay, quick story time. So I remember before I was married, I flew to meet my aunt in the city that she lives in. And it was so funny because all these people had people holding up signs for them and waiting for them. And I had to walk through the airport, get my bag, go out to the curb and wait for my aunt to show up. And I told her, I was like, everybody has somebody waiting on them and I had to come out to the car. So I do understand that feeling. I do understand wanting to have that person who cares whether you make it there or not. So I hope for that for her. I wish for that. You've been through a lot, Mary. Now, I'm not going to say you didn't cause some of what you've been through, but you deserve that. Everyone does. So then they talk about the furniture and how she gave the furniture away to her sister and if Cody cared about that. And she says, well, aren't you going to keep it for nostalgia's sake? And she's like, of what? A marriage where I didn't have any affection for 10 years. You melted my rings down. You married another woman. It looks like it was my suggestion, but I don't know if it really was. And now I'm divorcing you. That's what I should keep. That's what I should remember when I sit on this furniture. Good times with a cup of joe. No, I don't think so. I think that Mary thinks that Cody cares about her, and she takes all of that as that sort of dealing with his emotions is why he keeps asking her these questions. I don't think Cody cares about you leaving at all. I think Cody cares about the control of you not being there. That's what he cares about, right? So then, of course, she says, I should have from the beginning done something different with my life. I wish he would have told me sooner. But, Mary, it's kind of like, Cody better than any of these women. So I think you probably knew somewhere deep down inside he was never going to be the person to tell you to go. And he's even said it. So if you've been paying attention at all, you knew he was never going to tell you to leave. Plus, you had money in the property. So if he tells you to leave, the fact that he might not get to keep that property was always at stake. I just want to know, of all the laughing that she and Jen do, what is so freaking funny? Because anything I see them do just does not cause my funny bone to be tickled. If you know, put it down in the comments. Just put it down in the comments. Now, one thing that Mary said did really surprise me, and it almost made my stomach turn. And that was that she said Cody gave her a list to complete, and then he would consider working on their marriage. First of all, this is not a task-based sort of relationship. At least it shouldn't be. And the fact that she allowed a man to give her a list to complete before he would consider working on their marriage says a lot about her self-esteem and where she saw herself. A lot. And I guess I wish so much that I could go back even further into her childhood to know where that came from. Y'all, I don't get what these people saw in Cody, except for he was in the faith and he made them promises that he just never even had an inkling about living up to. Because I just do not see him being somebody that could hand anybody a list for you to complete in order to stay with him. I don't get it. Let's go ahead and go to Robin's house where Mary shows up because she's going to tell them that she's moving. Now, she does say that they don't really need to know that she's moving. But of course, I think she had an ulterior motive, which was, I'm going to tell you I'm moving, but I'm also going to tell you I need help with moving. Now, this is where I raise my hand and go, where's Jen and Blair now? Now, maybe they couldn't get away. Maybe they couldn't drive all the way down to Flagstaff. But at this point, I would be doing everything in my power to stay away from this man. I don't want you to help me move. I don't want you to help me do nothing. Just go. Let's just peace. Let's just break off, whatever. But I felt like her going over to tell them she was moving was just that one last ditch effort to see if Cody cared. She just wanted to get just even a little bit of skin under her nails that made her feel like Cody would care that she was leaving. And he does ask her, well, why are you moving so soon? He and Robin say, well, you told us June or July. And she's like, well, my lease ends in June, but I just kind of want to get it done before that. She makes mention of the fact that she doesn't even really see the kids that much. She does want to tell them that she's leaving, but it's been like pulling teeth to get to Robin to see the kids. And again, this is where Robin says one thing: I want to be your friend. I want you to stay around. I want to sit on my porch with my sister wives and watch the grandchildren. But you don't even call her to come over and see your own kids who would one day have children and then be your grandchildren. Robin just ain't that into you, Mary. She is just not that into you. I really, really dislike how Robin treats her kids like these little sick animals. It's almost like, if there's a word for it, I can't think of it right now, but it's almost like that, what is it, Munchausen by proxy, but it's not that. It's like something about like situations where you think that your children are going to think something is so much more devastating than it really turns out to be for them. Like telling children that you're going to move. What is that really going to do to break down Saul and Ari? Okay, so she's moving. I mean, hell, half their family, their whole family is moved away across the country. They have sisters and brothers and that you say that they don't even know. So, whatever. Truly has moved. And I know Ari used to play with Truly, like they've seen it happen. Wasn't it Christine where y'all was standing out on Coyote Pass and you let Ariella yell at Christine about, why are you leaving my dad? So Ariella ain't that delicate. She is not some delicate flower that you need to protect and hover over. So just stop it. Just cut it out. I do understand why she is the way she is, though, because you shield her from everything, or you try. Like, I understand why your oldest daughter apparently has these attacks, that we saw in a few seasons ago where she's like crying and can't walk and has to be carried upstairs. I mean, you treat her like that, so they're going to play into that. God help their husbands and wives. God help their husbands and wives. Robin, you did not root for these relationships. I don't care how many times you say it. I start to wonder who you're trying to convince, because we're not convinced that you rooted for these relationships at all. What you did is you sat silent and you watched things happen, and that's almost worse. There's that. So here's the thing that I want to talk about. Now that we've gotten through all that fluff stuff, here's the thing that stuck out for me that I really want to talk about. It is Jezebel's really deep concern for the situation at hand concerning Christine and David. Now let's start here. I have a problem with a parent who says, I'm basically going to marry or be with this man, woman, whatever, come hell or high water, no matter how my children feel. In her mind, I'm sure she thinks my children are adults. They've had relationships. They've had A, B, C, and D. I'm going to live for me now. But these are also your children who have seen you go through a divorce, who has seen how their dad treats you, and who they don't have a good relationship with their dad. So when Jezebel keeps bringing up how fast they're moving, she asks Christine in the house, are you sure this is a forever thing? Yes, it's a forever thing. It's fine. And then she asks the question that she's probably wanted to ask, but I don't think she meant it the way Christine took it. It's when she says, he's not going to replace dad, right? Here's the question I think Jezebel was trying to answer. Dad will still want to have something to do with me if David is in the picture, right? So when Christine says, well, he's just going to come in if you need a father figure, if you need someone to sort of be a dad in a situation for you, David can be that or he cannot be that, but he will never replace your father. Here's where I feel like Christine cannot promise that. Can he replace him in Jezebel's mind? Absolutely not. Can Cody allow himself to be replaced so that Jezebel feels like her relationship with her dad is at jeopardy? Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what I think Christine did not hear. She heard, is he going to come in and try to be my dad? Do I need to call him dad? Do we need to treat him like dad? Christine said, no, of course not. He's not. No, but what I'm asking, if she could have really used all of the vocabulary and really express herself, I think she would have asked, Dad is not going to take this hard and then use it as an excuse to not be our dad, right? That's what I really think it was. And Christine, I think you need to pay attention. You need to pay attention to what your kids are saying. You are listening to people like Mykelti. You're making jokes about the fact that Mykelti and Tony were getting married soon, and you really talked to them in a way that was like, oh, I don't really want this to happen. Now the switch is flipped, and it's you who's now making the decisions to get married, and your kids are saying, this is fast, this is fast, this is fast. But you have at least two of your kids who, to me, are acting out or showing you how they feel in very different ways. Jezebel's asking the questions because she's older and has the conversation and the vocabulary. I think that Truly is acting out by doing things like punching David and pushing David and biting David, and people on the outside may see that as playful. I think you see it as playful. But in reality, should she really be biting a grown man like that? Should she be biting a person who, at all? Like, why are we letting her? Oh, but it's just so much fun because you're so in love. It's not fun. And I really don't think David enjoyed that. I don't think that David enjoys being pushed and bitten and all of the things. I don't think that you are watching when Truly leaves a room and really paying attention and honing into why she might be leaving a room. Now, I know that this is all water under the bridge because we know they get married. We know that they are living in Utah, hopefully happily ever after. But this is hard to watch. It's hard to watch the feelings bubbling to the surface only to have your mother say, well, I know they're having a hard time about it, but I'm going to keep going. Yeah, let's talk more about that towards the middle of the week. Like I said, this was not going to be a long video. I hope that you have had an entertaining time listening to it. Next time on Sister Wives, it says that Robin, basically standing there, wants, Mary to find happiness through all of her tears. Cody then dubs Mary the favorite ex-wife, and she says, well, I knew I'd one day maybe be the favorite at something. He cries because Mary is leaving, and he says it's so sad. Actually, he really sobs. He sobs more than Robin in the next episode. And then, of course, Peyton, he says it's only been like 2 days since y'all met and you're already engaged. So even Peyton is like, wow, you're moving fast. But all right. So we will be here next week. Y'all, we are going into Thanksgiving. What are your plans? What are you going to do? I can already tell you that on Thanksgiving week, there will not be a Sister Wives video from me. But if the show is on, I will definitely be watching it, and I will come back the following week and give you my thoughts. I hope that everyone has a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week, and I will see you on the next Sister Wives. Peace, love, and hair grease, y'all. We out.